Hashtag relatable.
Hashtag relatable. Like Olympus.
Rising above the Serengeti.
Yeah, we're always trying to be educational here.
You shrink, basically, or contract.
Guys know that.
It's all good. We're good people.
It always has
Wah,
been.
wah.
So
Really?
some things do change.
This is so cool, you almost forget they're naked.
By the way, you look like a buffoon.
Like, really? You're going to wear that?
Yeah, millennials. That I'm good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm just not great at anything.
You're a worthless talent, just for the record.
Sadly, there's always somebody out there that's going to do it better than you.
Yeah.
And you saw his face in
Yeah.
that video.
Yeah, he was not a fan.
Yeah, stop worrying about what other people think of you. You do you.
Yeah. See, I listen.
And
I mean, you remember our first date, right?
you make fun of me for it all the time. It comes up.
Comes up. I know, it was...
Sounds like it might come up again.
I know.
I still don't see what's funny about it.
Just to give it a kick. I mean, oh, that was so hardcore.
The quote, metrosexual, was a label back then.
And maybe I should have had a glass of wine, and then...
Because these are one of these stories that we don't want our kids to hear.
So while it hasn't been a dry January, it's definitely been more of like a damp January.
Probably more acceptable in Vegas than
It
drinking alone at
absolutely
home.
is.
They're also at an age where we're having conversations that are material.
You'll never believe what Dad told me.
You know, I didn't know my biological father.
Yeah.
I wanted to raise my kids differently than I was raised. Jumping out of a window, I could have got away with it because there's no proof of it.
What are you going to do in the big moments when it really matters?
Your dad's being arrested as we speak for it. Right. How can we trust you with the big things if we can't trust you with the small things?
Yeah. There, you were on the straight and narrow path. I was like the straight jacket path. Like,
There's a lot of junk on YouTube.
absolutely.
And so we thought we'd put our own junk up there. I agree.
Yeah, no, that's about on brand.
You have to utilize social media.
Yeah.
It is the conduit to the people.
Wow, it really is falling far from grace, huh? Oh, I don't know how to turn on the TVs in our house.
Yeah, you can't. Wow. Like that's your dream.
Struck comedy gold with that one.
A long time ago, didn't some book come out?
Yes, yeah, okay, well, we are far from that goal.
Are we taking bets on this? Do we care?
For me, it's, all about the time we spend together.
I know everybody was waiting on this one too.
Oh, that was another cliffhanger.
I'd be getting,
Oh, you can do a mean moonwalk.
and you practically finished my.
Sandcastles.
You tried to hold it in. I can't. We cannot end with that every single time.
Welcome to the Mr. and Mrs. Inglis Podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shaen. We're here to talk about the wild ride of raising kids, growing careers, keeping life together in the middle of all the chaos.
So buckle up, because we're all in this crazy journey together.
1-2-7.
2-7. We're in February already.
February. Okay. I think everything's rolling. I know last time I said I muted it out in case anybody noticed it, but I was saying it's episode 4 or it's episode 3 when it was actually episode 4.
Yeah, so now we're recording episode 5.
Now we have to get it straight. We're on episode 5,
Yep.
moving into February now.
Yep. Can you believe how fast the year is going already?
No,
It's February.
I know. I said that on Morning Cereal. I said, hey, it was January 31st. It was the last day of Morning Cereal that I said it. And like, hey, no frets. You got a whole 12 hours left to make January what you wanted to because January's done. Hope you made the most of it.
Right. It flew. And part of it, you were out of town for so long.
It is. Yeah, it's just getting back in. You know what I should do?
What?
Here, hold this. We're gonna cut in just a minute because I can't do Mr. and Mrs. without wearing my wedding ring. We don't want to start some rumors, so.
Right, exactly. I got mine on, so you
Hey,
will
everybody,
cut.
hold on. This is a cut.
Pause.
Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Is this like coffee talk? Good to know.
All right, I'm back. Good news is I didn't lose my ring.
Well, that's good. We both have it on. It truly is a Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, we're officially Mr. and Mrs. now, so. Welcome back, everybody. Geez, a lot of drama there at the very beginning of the show.
Right.
Lost ring.
Lost ring. It's a hook, though. Hopefully it grabbed your attention for all that drama.
Yeah. Well, we spent hours writing that,
Hours.
coming up with that drama.
It's comedy gold. But so you didn't have your...
Comedic drama.
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
thought it was, it was more drama than comedy there. Like people are dying at, oh, he lost his ring. That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's not funny because you actually have lost a wedding ring.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, the original wedding ring is somewhere in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, that thing floated straight to the bottom. So we have platinum rings, and way off tangent here, but we have platinum rings, and the original ring, for those of you that were at our wedding, this small percentage of people listening, at our wedding, I would literally put my hand, I'd let people hold my ring because it was so heavy. Platinum in that time was less expensive than it is now.
Yeah.
The pure metal. And it was 1/4 pound is how much my ring weighed. And it was heavy. To give everybody an example of what it was, I'd put it in one hand and we put a whole stick of butter.
Oh.
So if you ever held a stick of butter, I don't know if that's old school or not either, but a stick of butter in the other hand, which it weighs exactly 1/4 pound, by the way.
Right.
We're always trying to be educational here.
Right.
And they weighed the same.
Yes.
And they weighed the same.
Yeah. And so we also weren't aware, and another educational point, salt water makes your hands, or it makes you shrink, basically, or contract.
Guys know that.
Oh, okay. Didn't.
Cold salt water.
I was not aware of this, so even I'm learning things in this particular episode.
George Costanza told us all about it, but that's another tangent. So go ahead.
Yeah, but essentially your hands shrink when you get into salt water. So you had some contraction in your finger got skinny, and the ring sunk to the bottom quickly
because it was heavy. And I spent 2 days. It was before kids, right?
Oh yeah, that was pre-kids.
Yeah, it was early on.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, the new ring, still the second original one, and it has survived. Although I've had a couple scares here and there.
Yes.
But it survived, and it weighs less because the whole point to the platinum being so expensive then was it's quadruple the price that it is now.
Yeah.
So the ring I have now is also platinum, but it weighs like 1/4 of it.
Yeah.
So
a
what is
quarter
that?
of a quarter.
16th
Yeah.
of a pound.
Right.
I don't know if that math's right because I went quick, but.
Yeah. But, drama and emergency evaded, right? We did find the ring. It was just, in your little thing right on your sink.
Yeah.
It's all good. We're good people.
We're good people. So, and I did wear it when I was in Vegas because here's the other cliffhanger, right, that we left everybody with. I know everybody was like, we got to tune in to Shaen and Meghan's podcast because Shaen was going to find out for all of us, right, whether or not Michael Jackson's Cirque du Soleil one show was still in Vegas.
Yes, and the result is?
It is.
Yes.
It's like, it is. Yeah. It always has been. But just to confirm it was there, not just posters everywhere, Bear and I went and saw it. And obviously, generationally, Gen Xers, even good Gen X, if you're a parent of Gen X, from the Gen X generation, if you're a parent worth anything, your kids should know Michael Jackson. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Bear loved it because, they played most of his hits. Really cool. It was a little less Cirque du Soleil than, say, O was, or some of the other ones that we've seen over there, Raw and Zumanity. To that point, Zumanity is no longer there.
Oh,
so
really?
some things do change. Remember, we figured that out when we went back last year.
Yes. And I think you had a famous quote. We went to Zumanity again, or we were early marriage probably. And that is an adult Cirque show.
It was an adult
an adult Cirque show. And innocent Shaen leans over to me, middle of the show, and he's like, "This is so cool, you almost forget they're naked."
They're topless, but yeah.
It was hilarious. I'm like, "Yep, almost."
Yeah. We might lead with that one on the highlights.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun, a great show. It was funny because Bear and I got in. We were heading late. We got there late almost, like running in to get on time for whatever reason.
Oh, he told me why, but keep going with your story, and I'll remind you.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. So we're sitting down. We get down to our seats. We sit down, and I'm trying to take a picture, with Bear and I with the stage in the background, and this girl kind of gets in it. And if you saw my Instagram post, if you looked at it, there's a slight pink blur behind Bear and I in the stage. And I didn't even notice it really at the time because people were taking their seats. But the long and the short of it, the guy that she was with, and you see all kinds of people in Vegas. So you never know. When we lived there, we saw a lot of people dressed really weird, and that was normal.
Yeah.
So I didn't think much of these two people, but he actually said to me, like 1 foot away from me. He's like, "Oh, sorry about that. Like, sorry she was in your shot." And I was like, "Oh, no big deal. Like, have a great night, whatever." Long story short, they're the 2 stars in the show.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't
because
know
there's
that part.
like 5 people that kind of like take on Michael Jackson's. One's his shoes, one's his glove, one's his hat, one's his sunglasses. I can't remember what the other one was now, but they were she was the sunglasses and he was the shoes.
Oh my gosh, that's super cool.
Yeah. So I'm glad I wasn't like, "Thanks a lot, man. You ruined it." Like, and
Right.
by the way, you look like a buffoon.
Like, really? You're going to wear that?
Yeah, millennials.
I had no idea. Well, you said it was a great show.
It was awesome. It's talent that I wish I had, but I love watching it. I'm just so impressed with people that have that talent to dance and sing. It's cool talent.
It is. And it reminds, I think, people who get to watch it, just like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful there are really talented people because I enjoy watching those really talented people.
It was funny as we were preparing for this, and I was thinking about last week what we talked about in confidence at work and whatnot. And I was literally just thinking about this, that would have been a good point to bring up on last week's show was how we always just laugh about like, man, I am good at a lot of things. Like I can do all kinds of things, right? And I'm not shy about that. I'm good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm just not great at anything.
You're jack of all trade, master of none.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But that is just, that's average. It just kind of fades into the minutia sometimes, and it's frustrating. I wish I was, really good at something like that. Be really cool, but I'm not.
It would be really cool. But the other thing we talk about is, yeah, sure, jack of all trades, master of none. But if you're really only good at, if you're exceptional at one thing, and that's what you have to do. And if you can't make that one thing work, then what do you do? At least you have backups.
Yeah.
If you're just like me and just kind of average, right? You're
because you say the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I could go a lot of different directions because I'm not exceptional at one particular thing.
Yeah, and I think we're above average at some things. And I mean, like, how many people out there feel that same way? I would imagine a lot of people are like, I am really good at this. Like, I just do this well, whatever it may be that you do well. But ultimately, like we tell our kids, sadly, there's always somebody out there that's going to do it better than you.
Yeah.
Usually.
I mean, there's a handful that we all know are, the GOAT, but.
Right. But you got to do you.
You got to do you. Be true to yourself.
Yeah. That was a quote on Morning Cereal at one point this week.
See, I listen.
And you listen very well, and you have a memory that's top notch. It's incredible. Megan was showing it off on the sidelines, and I wish you were there because there's two of the dads were kind of going back and forth on Anchorman, and then they threw in some Top Gun, and Megan wasn't there for one of the conversations, and Megan's got like a eidetic memory. I mean, like it's very close. I mean, you have verbatim memorized movie scenes without like memorizing them.
Sure.
You just know them. In fact, yesterday was funny because I won't go too into detail on it, but after the fact we got in the car and you said, just for the record, he didn't quote that exact. He misquoted.
I did say that. Now, I have watched that movie a ton. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
So for me not to know it would have been a shame.
Yeah.
And would have really then just been a waste of all the tens and if not hundreds of hours I spent in my life watching that movie. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Anchorman, I've seen that movie twice, but it's got so many one-liners that I've probably seen those one-liners 100 times, on clips or whatever they might be.
You punted Baxter.
And I just stood there like a puppy, like, yeah, that's a funny one. And then he goes and he says his, and like, oh yeah, that's funny. And I'm like trying to think, my brain's like flip, and like once I find one, it's like, oh, he just said that one, like flip, trying to find it again. And I got in maybe one of them, like I think mine was, that escalated really quickly.
It's a good one.
But one of them, he was already on like his 15th, like he had 20 and I had one. So I eventually just kind of like slinked away.
Yeah. But your thing, I would say, so I can memorize movie quotes, worthless talent, just for the record. You can do songs. Like you will hear the first note of a song and know exactly what that song is. And you'll be like, oh, I love this song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
And I can sing it on key, too. Most people don't know that.
Yes. I wouldn't know. You've never sung in front of me.
I'm just kidding. That's a total lie. I can't sing. I have no talent. I have no real talent whatsoever. That's usable.
It's not true. It's just jack of all trade, master of none.
Yeah, I know. but I don't like that. So, anywho, Vegas was fun. Got to spend some time getting to know more of the parents on our oldest's soccer team, which was nice because that's a team that we just joined this year, and we just haven't spent a lot of time with them for whatever reason. I think there's some newer people on the team and whatnot. So that was great seeing those guys. We stayed at the Mandalay Bay, which was a nicer spot to stay at. Got a nice steak dinner. I got to try some more bourbon. Probably a bigger sip than I usually give him. And you saw his face in that video I took.
Yeah, he was not a fan.
Yeah.
It was why would you do this?
Yeah.
Kind of a face.
Gosh, when was the first time you tasted alcohol?
I was young. So
4?
No, I mean not 4, but
my grandma used to say they would put whiskey on our gums to make us go to sleep.
Oh yeah, I would say I think a lot of grandparents did that. Like our grandparents' age. Yeah. So what we would do when I was a kid is my dad would have his Manhattans. That was kind of his drink, and so he'd be grilling, and we'd go out, and he would let us have teeny tiny sips of his Manhattan, and I just remember it evaporating.
How old were you?
I would have been maybe 4th grade that I can remember.
Yeah, that was pretty young.
First time, but I mean, it's terrible.
It's not like you were chugging it, and you have to develop a taste.
It was not a pleasant experience at all. It was just like, Dad, let us try it.
Yeah, I remember once, and that wasn't the first time I tasted, but some of those things like a good bourbon or even wine for sure, you have to develop a little bit of a palate for it, right?
Absolutely.
It's not immediately you taste it like this is the greatest thing in the world. In fact, beer's like that with me. Like I am not friends with a lot of people I know simply because I don't drink beer. I don't like it. For whatever reason I can't get on board there.
You tried. Honestly, you gave it the good college try. Pun probably intended there with college and beer. But when we were early dating, because my family is primarily beer drinkers, and I drank beer.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember our first date, right?
Yeah, of course.
So,
you make fun of me for it all the time. It comes up.
I know, it was...
Sounds like it might come up again.
I know. It was fabulous. We go to a bar, right? I mean, or it was a
sports bar. Because there was
yeah.
pool and whatnot there.
Yeah. And you ordered a grilled chicken and a Smirnoff Raz, and I ordered a burger and beer. And
I still don't see what's funny about it. Smirnoff Razes are awesome. In fact, if you recall, I drank it down at 2 inches, and I asked the waitress kindly if she'd give me a shot of Smirnoff to top off my Smirnoff Raz, just to give it a kick.
I mean, that was so hardcore.
Yeah, you were definitely more of the man on that order than I was.
Yeah, although then, of course, we played pool, and then you were like, no, I do know my way around a sports bar, because you did crush me at pool. Rightfully so. I'm terrible.
Not good either, so... That's how I won my man card back, though, is because I destroyed you at pool.
Not really. I really, it didn't bother me, but we did think it was funny because when the server brought our food, they handed you the burger and beer and handed me the grilled chicken.
I did forget that part.
Smirnoff Raz.
I did forget that part.
So that was the funny part to me, was that the server mixed it up.
Again, and that was a time where I was 27 then, maybe?
27, 28, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So, I mean, I've always tried to eat healthy, but that was a time in my life when some of my friends who may listen to this too remember the time, and I brought it up probably in the first episode here, is that was the quote metrosexual was a label back then.
Yeah, it was.
Right? For just a guy that was clean, took care of himself, smelled good, took showers. I felt like, just like regular everyday things, because I like to be clean and whatever. And so that metrosexual like vibe was always in the back of my mind, like, oh gosh, am I totally just always burning my man card in front of people? And that was a time I felt like I did.
Yeah, you didn't though. I mean, 20 years later, I think it was just fine. I knew you well enough to not think anything weird of it.
Yeah.
So it may have been like our first date, but we had talked for so long before we dated, that before we went on a date, that.
Well, what got me on that one, which was funny though, is just talking about some of those first ones. And I had tasted alcohol before that, but I remember first time I had proper like cab.
Yeah.
Was I had to have been 18 probably, maybe 17. Somehow running around with a bunch of people in high school, we got into somebody's house in the Broadmoor. And that's like a swanky, used to be like a very uppity, rich, large houses in Colorado Springs, where I grew up.
Right.
we were trying to find alcohol or something, like just trying to find something to do. Like, are these one of these stories that we don't want our kids to hear? I don't know.
I don't think
because I know they listen to this at times. But
Yeah.
long story short is, we found a wine, and it was an open like cab, and I remember we're like passing the bottle around, like just taking it to the face, chugging it, and it was so bad. Obviously, that's not how you drink wine.
No, that's not how you drink wine. You sip wine.
Yeah.
And you enjoy the flavor of wine.
You don't do elbows up like.
No.
It's another long story we'll get into at some other time, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. No. You sip it. You enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's how bourbon is for you now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not at all how it was when I would take a sip of my dad's while he was grilling our dinner.
You didn't elbows up in 4th grade?
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, like, it had to have been the smallest sip.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So I think our parenting philosophy there is, if they're, let them be curious now while we're around.
Sure.
I mean, just sipping. I mean, obviously, we're not giving them drinks.
No.
They're kids. But I never once tasted alcohol at my house growing up.
Yeah.
That was not. And there was beer in the house. Really, I don't
Yeah.
remember there being like Coors Light or something like that. But I don't remember any other kind of alcohol. I don't think there was ever spirits.
Yeah, and we
Or
always we always had that, but it was very. I mean, my parents, thankfully, they always drank very responsibly. It was social drinking or on a
And
Saturday
boy,
night.
do they still.
Yeah, I mean, that's just part of it. But they never locked a liquor cabinet. I mean, it was always like so.
And that never bit them in the butt either. I mean, it's not like any of your siblings ever threw big parties and refilled the liquor cabinet with water.
Yeah.
In the bottles.
Yeah, that was siblings, so that wasn't me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, my siblings had some ragers, but yeah, it was never like a taboo thing. So I think, at least for me, I definitely learned to drink responsibly because of that.
Oh no, they're always. I'm being facetious when I talk about your parents like that. They're great people who drink responsibly.
Yes, yeah. So
you can enjoy it because that's what it's for,
It is.
When done right.
It is, and we're talking about drinking, but like we were just talking the other night how this January schedule, I hear a lot of people talking about dry January. And we did not intend to do a dry January, but every weekend we have had something like almost every weekend evening. And that's primarily if we're going to have a glass of something, it's on a weekend. It's pretty rare it's on a weeknight. And we're like, so while it hasn't been a dry January, it's definitely been more of like a damp January.
It has. And to the point where, well, I did contemplate a dry January, if you recall, like on December 30th for 15 seconds.
Right. And then we're like, gosh, we're off. We were off. We were on PTO at that time. I was like, oh, but do you want a glass of wine?
Absolutely.
And it wasn't
that was flushed down the toilet quickly. It was a terrible idea to begin with. But,
yeah. But I mean, because Friday night we were busy. I mean, we didn't get home till 9, with different kids' things. And you don't really want to be the person picking up your kid in a school line after you had a couple cocktails. So.
Well, I remember where I was going with it now, though, is because when I was in Vegas two weeks in a row, which gets old, right?
Yeah.
And if the whole family was there, it'd been great, but it was just one-offs and whatnot. And it was a weird schedule when we were there this last time because we had games that we had to rest in between. We can't walk because coach didn't want them walking around. But I did drink when I was there. I mean, I had my usual old-fashioned 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
I had 2 at one place and 1 at the other place. I might not have been quite as damp as my January wasn't as damp as yours.
Yeah, I was single parenting at home, which, I'm like,
probably more acceptable in Vegas than
it
drinking alone at home.
absolutely is. Yeah, and I mean, we had some late night games and things like that where it was just like, no. And it, for me, it's more fun if I'm going to have a cocktail or a glass of wine. Like, I would rather do it with you than, then you just kind of feel like a lush. But anyway, I'll bring it back to the first story of Michael Jackson 1 and why you were running late. Because I hear from our oldest the other day, I don't know where you had gone to, but he's like, Mom, I learned so many things about Dad at dinner. And I was like, really? He's like, I learned so many stories that I had never heard. Oh, and so I think
maybe I shouldn't have been drinking too many.
You guys were deep in conversation, which is, I think, why you may have been rushing to get to one. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about it. Our kids are getting at an age that we can have great conversations with them, and they're fun, and they're also at an age where we're having conversations that are material.
Yeah.
These are these are baseline conversations that kind of set a direction and expectation and setting, like lines in the sand sometimes, but also knowing like you don't have to be perfect, but so I mean, we had some really good conversations there, and I don't specifically remember which ones I shared with him, so maybe offline.
I'll tell you which ones he told me about. There was nothing I didn't know about, and I think it was completely appropriate that you shared the stories that you did, but it goes back to, like, you were sharing stories about maybe times you didn't make the best choices, or times when, like the time you were roofied. Again, long story, also happened in Vegas. Anyway, it was fantastic because...
Not in the last 2 weeks, though.
It was not in the last 2 weeks. That was also early.
20 years ago.
Yeah. It was early on. But yeah, he was loving the stories and was flabbergasted.
Really? Because he's always just so
He's
straight-faced.
a very mellow kid.
Yeah.
Very mellow.
So I'm surprised. I guess I'm happy they landed, at least.
Oh, they landed. Like, they made an impression. His eyes lit up of like, you'll never believe what Dad told me.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well.
Yeah. So.
Good. Hopefully it's for the better than, and not, not for the worse.
I think my philosophy is, I don't know, right, wrong, or otherwise, I think it was really good that you shared that, because I think parents or kids think of their parents sometimes as perfect and unrelatable.
Yeah.
Because they were perfect all the time. And it's like, no, we did the same stupid stuff that you are probably going to do.
Yeah. And for me, it's different too, because, I grew up in a household that, by the time I got to my adolescence, it was difficult. I didn't have the greatest relationships with either of my parents because there's so much quarreling between the three of us. There's defensive here, and this one's protecting me, and this one's terrible. So there's a lot of that. I never had those conversations. I can't remember having a heart-to-heart with my parents ever. Yeah. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. All those relationships are fine and mended now. Some of that, we've all grown through that.
Yeah.
Let's just put that there. But as being my own father now, and someone that, I didn't know my biological father.
Yeah.
I had a testy relationship with, the father that I grew up with.
Right.
That we've, again, like I said, we've mended, because I'm not trying to stir up anything here by any means.
Right.
But I wanted to be different.
Yeah.
I wanted to raise my kids differently than I was raised.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like I grew up in the slums or anything like that, but I wanted to do it different. And so part of that is me wanting to share some of these things with them and being open, having those conversations, because, I don't have a father figure in my life at all, period, that I can go to and bounce things off of. I never have.
Yeah.
Right. From the time I was 13 on, I've never had a father figure.
Right.
Which is probably why I've always been closer to girls in my life.
Yeah.
Why it's been difficult for me to carry on male relationships, because at a young age, I never knew how to have a relationship with a male.
Right.
Because I never had a real father figure, even though I had a father that was providing and doing things that, a father back then, I guess, is expected to do.
Right.
It still wasn't an ideal situation.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm trying to do it differently now, and hopefully not mess that up.
Yeah. Well, it had a positive impact on our son, and it's age appropriate, right? I mean, you were sharing stories of things that within the next 5 years he may have to face, and I think it was very relatable for him.
Oh, I remember one of the stories now is jumping out of a window at a party that was rated.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to go there. I had totally forgotten this.
That was just a funny one.
It was hilarious.
Because he was taught, I mean, he's getting to the age where people are starting to, drink at parties, and,
and we hope he makes better choices than that. But, I mean, he's around it, will be within the next couple of years.
Well, I'm just shocked at what they know already at this age. And we actually just said it to you this morning that, and we talk about it a lot on this podcast probably, of just how much technology has made our lives faster, and we get more done, but we're exposed to more, and the kids are exposed to so much more I mean, I can only imagine having access in a phone, and a screen to what they have access to. If I was that age, and my girlfriend then had that. I mean, like the self-discipline that they need to have, and the morals and the North Star compass to make the good decisions in life. I mean, it is just multitudes more important.
Right, and harder. I mean, that was something that we didn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were probably both working professionals before it was common to have, iPhones certainly. But I remember I was in college. Right after college is when I got my first cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm aging myself, but yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
I remember taking pictures in college, and it's like, would I want those pictures on the internet now? No, not that they were super damaging or anything, but it's still not who you would want your social media persona to be. Yeah. So I think the repercussions are so much worse.
Mm-hmm. They are, and that's what I tell them. Like nowadays, just one picture can derail, depending on what you want to do in life and where you're trying to get into and go. I mean, one picture. We always go back, and I won't speak to it specifically, obviously, but I know there was one picture that I took that was just, I was like, maybe I can think of two pictures I took. Nothing like horrible, obviously, but something I'm like, you know what? That is not something that I want out there.
Right.
Because I just don't ever want that to come up and have to explain that to people, even though it's innocent.
Yeah. It was naivete that probably
it's stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, you got to grow up for that. You got to look up for that. But at 14 or 15, 16, however old you are, 22 for crying out loud, I mean, you're not using your brain half the time. You're not thinking about it. You're just having a fun time. You're not thinking about the consequences. And
yes.
I feel like we hamper on that so much that your consequences for that one little thing now are just multiplied.
Yes.
I could have got away with it because there's no proof of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, on the internet, it lives forever.
Yep, exactly.
So thank God these aren't out there for...
I know, it's not like we were talking
Maybe
about...
I should be careful what I say.
I know, not like I was talking about having sips of Manhattan at 4th grade.
Your dad's being arrested as we speak for...
He's a really good man. Yeah. But it makes parenting, I think, completely different now. And I think while you were in Vegas having really fun talks with our son, teaching him about maybe some of the life choices you had picked, good, and maybe some of the not so good ones.
It's normal. Everybody does it.
Everyone does it, yep. I was also having to parent, and that was one of the things that I kept saying to our daughter, like last weekend in particular. You came home, and I was like, I am exhausted. I have parented the entire time you were gone. Like, you kind of get breaks every now and again where your kids are just making the right choices and there's not a whole lot of drama and anything going on. You get those breaks. But I was like, this has been 72 hours straight of me parenting.
Yeah.
And I am tired because it was complicated things, and you want to say the right thing to your kid. You need them to understand the severity of it. I was just plumb exhausted. But that was what I tried to get across to our daughter, was that it wasn't about that moment. It was about, what are you going to do in the big moments when it really matters? And I was like, you lost some of my trust because you didn't make the right choice in an easy circumstance.
Right. How can we trust you with the big things if we can't trust you with the small things?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my weekend. Yeah. So, and maybe I should have had a glass of wine, and then it wouldn't have been quite as hard. But those were just moments that you can't.
What's kind of funny too is I think about that. Yeah, you have to meet that, and but you were so innocent growing up. Like you lived such a straight and narrow life growing up that I'm the only one that has the ability to share some of those. And I wasn't that far off the good narrow path.
Right. But
I strayed here and there, but I was pretty
there. You were on the straight and narrow path. I was like the straitjacket path. Like it was not even there was no deviation from it. I mean, I didn't. While I would take sips of my dad's drink
That was, in fact, the one thing you did.
That was the one thing I did, and my parents knew about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was fine.
Yeah, he corrupted you.
Right. I mean, I still have never smoked a cigarette or anything for that matter.
Yeah.
Never. And so, when the kids if it comes to that, they're like, "Hey, Mom, what were some of the rebellious things you did?" I'll be like, maybe when I was 20, I, drank too much alcohol.
Yeah. I wore an orange Swatch watch band with a red sweater, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, for me, it probably would have been a purple Swatch watch band.
Okay.
With a red sweater.
Yeah. Okay. With a red Guess sweater. Got to make sure you got to set the mood.
Yeah.
You got to paint that picture for people in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. With like the stirrup pants, maybe.
Yeah. Z Cavaricci for us. You guys didn't have Z Cavaricci down there.
We didn't.
Or up there.
Up there, yeah. Yeah, we were more Guess, and I think Gerbeau was a big one.
Or new Gerbeau.
United Colors.
But you guys wore
Benetton.
big pants, though, right?
Yeah.
Like sagging and all that was in back then.
Yeah, although no one in my family really sagged, but yeah, the big baggy pants were in. Carpenter pants, do you remember those?
Well, Colorado Springs, as we all know, is super ghetto. So, I mean, compared to where you grew up, it was for sure ghetto. on the scale.
Yeah.
I always call Megan Crispy Connecticut because she's just so.
I'm straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Like it's all I embrace it.
You do, and you wear it well.
I wear it well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it doesn't offend me at all.
Yeah, I don't think many of our listeners are going to be shocked to hear that I really haven't I didn't do anything rebellious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like, yeah, no, that's about on brand.
But we talk about social media, and our kids have to watch that. But even now, adults are on social media. And that's hard for me. And I know you and I have talked about it because I kicked around right now with starting the podcasts. And I started another company, Aspen Capital Advisory.
Yeah.
So I am trying to get things out there. I mean, in today's world, it's not like you just throw a commercial up on TV or throw something on the radio anymore or flyers. I mean, you have to utilize social media. Yeah. It is the conduit to the people.
Yep.
Right? And for me, I am so sensitive to annoying people with posts, but getting posts up and bringing traffic to attract people to see what you're doing, both on the podcast side and on the financial advisory side, you need to get your name in just information out there and just got to get content out there.
Yeah.
So, social media for me is weird because I'm new to Instagram now, and I'm just, every time I post, I'm like, I know people are rolling their eyes. I'm trying to do something that's interesting at least, and it's not just about our family. And I mean, I do have a YouTube channel now, but it's for the purpose of all those things. We do some funny things on there too, like our daughter and I, because we do this funny voice with Paris, our dog, around the house, we just like, well, we should, because she narrates our lives, and to us it's hilarious, and to the rest of the world it's probably not, but there's a lot of junk on YouTube.
Absolutely.
And so we thought we'd put our own junk up there, and so we've done some things called the PP Puppies,
yep,
which is Paris and Philly. So we have some of those things up there too, just to bring people to the YouTube channel, and hopefully they stumble across, because Mr. and Mrs. is up there, Morning Cereal is up there, Life Happens will soon be up there, so just trying to bring some of those things to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a whole new world, and it's something that our generation doesn't do a lot of.
Right.
And I really just don't want to be mistaken for A, don't want to be a YouTuber, B, I don't want to annoy people, and C, given I've been in finance my entire career, right? I was a national managing director of a professional team, and I don't want people not to take me serious because they think I'm trying to be a YouTuber, So in the back of my mind, that's there too.
Hopefully driving people to the business and things like that. But hopefully for people who know you like I know you, being a YouTuber is the furthest thing from your mind. And you and I talk quite a bit. You're light years ahead of me. I don't do social media.
Or technology.
Or technology, really, period. I don't even know how to
The amount of times I have to tell you how to do simple things on your iPhone.
I don't know how to turn on the TVs in our house.
Yeah, you can't turn on the TVs in our house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it does show you just how little TV I watch, but I mean, I don't know how to turn on the TVs. So, that's about as basic as most people can get. if there's an 85-year-old watching this podcast, they're probably like, even I know how to turn on the TV.
Yeah.
You're ahead of me.
Yeah. It's not that difficult, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But all that to say, I mean, I think social media can be so positive and it can do a lot of great things, but there are so many dangers. I mean, I think our eyes were opened a little bit when it was our daughter's coach actually gave a whole parent meeting on social media and how you should use it to promote your brand or the skill and all of that, and how it should not be used.
Yeah. You say it's a good thing, and I don't even know that I agree with that wholeheartely. I mean, there's just so much bad. It can be so bad. Maybe that's
can be, yeah.
And it's unfortunately a necessary thing that you have to utilize that I don't really love or like, because, you know, I mean, when Facebook first came out, you know, it was just, and even now, you know, I'm never on Facebook, first off. Other than, I mean, I know I post a lot to it, but again, we're trying to build things, but I'm never on it scrolling through it, because years ago when I used to do that, it was like people just, you know, putting pictures up of moments in their lives, trying to make them look bigger maybe than they really are, living a different life than maybe they really are.
Yeah.
And so it's not, and that's a widely known, you know, bad side effect that people are just trying to. So, I mean, a lot of people are just trying to post stuff just to make themselves, you know, paint themselves in a different light, make themselves maybe look better, like they're living a better life maybe than they really are.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what we're trying to do is just put things up there for family and friends to see, and maybe to be entertaining, to bring, you know, some people to the website or whatnot. Yeah. But, you know, if nothing else, we're just trying to put up stuff just to be relatable, right?
Hashtag relatable.
Hashtag relatable. I laugh at that because of the story from the other night.
Oh, yeah. So we were having dinner, and our son had said something about math, and it was a great family dinner. Our daughter then was like, I'm the smartest person in my math class. And our oldest pipes up immediately with...
Hashtag relatable. Yeah, I should have said that dinner so it can be used in the opening one. But it was perfect timing from the oldest, who doesn't have the funny bone as much as some of the other ones do.
Right.
So when he pulls one out like that, it's great.
It was great. I mean, she's going on about how smart she is. Hashtag relatable. So that's
hashtag relatable.
I mean, and that's
hilarious.
Exactly what it was. And that has been kind of the theme for the week.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you and I were talking about Mr. and Mrs., I was like, gosh, can hashtag relatable, can you boil down Mr. and Mrs. to just hashtag relatable, right? We like to think that we're all in this together, and we just want to be relatable. Yeah.
That's funny. You know, that makes me think of, I was listening to Smartless the other day, and the guys were talking on that one. That's just such a funny podcast.
Hilarious.
And one of them was talking about, like, I just want to be able to, I want to go to the grocery store and just push the cart up and down each aisle, and, you know, and just pick out whatever food I want. And one of the other guys is like, wow, like that's your dream? I mean, holy cow, hashtag relatable. You know, like going to the grocery store is so out of the normal for him, you know, like people can really relate to him.
Oh, yeah. Really. See, it's so universal. Our oldest son struck comedy gold with that one.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was a good one-liner for sure.
Yeah. And it was good that was actually such a fun family dinner too. Our kids were really like firing on all cylinders. I think this is the second week in a row now where we've been able to talk about a family dinner that we had.
I think we have to do it more.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a long time ago, didn't some book come out about how to, you know, have a good family, relationships and whatnot? And one of them was sitting down and having family dinner. Every night, I think probably those books would say.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, we are far from that goal.
Yeah. Once a week.
Once a week is, hopefully we can have, we'll get to like 2 a week over the next couple. But yeah, it was so fun to hear the kids. They were kind of bragging on themselves, which is fun to do in a family environment.
It's a safe environment to do it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do that to some degree.
Yes.
You have to have somewhere safe.
They were so proud of themselves. That's exactly right. They were just talking about a couple of their accomplishments from school that they were really proud of.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
in turn, like, as a parent, I was super proud.
Yeah.
And then I learned things. Not growing up in Texas, I did not learn Texas history.
Me either.
Texas is I think in our last episode we talked about your District 11 education. But I learned things from them because they'll start talking about battles of San Jacinto. I was like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
But I learned something.
Yeah. The Alamo, never heard of it.
Wow. It really is falling far from grace, huh?
No, you're right, though. Your point is totally right on, because I haven't said that yet this episode, and I say that every episode, probably 4 or 5 times.
Ding.
Yeah, there it is. They enjoy that, and it's fun for them to be able to talk, and we need to make an effort to do that more often with them, because I think they enjoy it, and it's really the only one-on-one time we get with them, because they're in the back of the car on the way to soccer, and then they get out for soccer, or they're on the way to school and they get out. I mean, there's not a lot of one-on-one time, and we should take more advantage of that.
Right.
While we have it.
Yeah, because it goes so fast. Then the 3 of them, because there's not a competition involved, the 3 of them are usually, maybe fighting for attention a little bit, I'm next, I get to talk next, but for the most part, it's a harmonious, time when we can all download from the week.
It is. Although they do fight, you're right. Did you just mention that they fight for who's talking?
Uh-huh.
And, one of them will be raising their hand, and by the time we get to them, I forgot. Yeah. It turns into tears.
Yes. That was our youngest, this one, right? He's like, I forgot.
Yeah.
You felt all bad. Which I didn't realize.
And he tells the longest story sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Everyone forgets.
It's like, you got to wrap it, bud.
Yeah. Although a story came out that I didn't know about you. You drew a cartoon about someone who forgot their story and how they were crying.
Yeah, in 5th grade. Yeah, Mr. G's class.
Really? I'd never heard that story in all these years.
Yeah. Well, we'll spare the listeners. It's not that funny, but similar situation of somebody waving his hand wildly who always had the answers in class. And finally, the teacher, Mr. Griesinger, 5th grade teacher at King Elementary, called on him, and he forgot. And the waterworks happened and whatnot. And I thought it'd be a great idea to draw a cartoon to make sure it was captured and archived for history.
I want to see this cartoon so bad.
Honestly, I might have it because it cracked me up for such a long time, and it's not even that funny. But in one of my totes upstairs, I think I have that. I'm gonna go show it to you.
I am picturing a Calvin and Hobbes kind of a thing with just.
It's 2 frames.
It's
2 frames. One with his hand up, sitting at his desk, and one with his head on his head.
Oh, this poor kid.
Tears flying out.
Yeah, they were flying out.
Yeah.
Like a Calvin and Hobbes. Oh,
yeah.
That's fantastic. I
Yeah.
love that. I want to see it so bad.
That's funny. Well, what do we have going up the rest of this week? We had an 8 a.m. soccer game this morning.
Yeah, up
2
early.
goals from the youngest. That was good. Always good to get goals out of them.
Always good to get goals, and the team played like a champ against an older team. They showed a lot of heart and fight. We still have one more.
Another one
today. Yeah, but this week is a very normal week. You're not traveling.
Looking forward to being home.
Yeah, we're all looking forward.
Yeah.
To have you home, and then looking forward to Super Bowl next week.
Super Bowl. That's right.
So
go Swifties.
I know. There you go.
Wonder how many times we'll see Taylor.
A lot.
And are we taking bets on this to see if Travis Kelce, do we care if he proposes? There's no way he does. They're making fun of this somehow. He and her and all their people.
He's not going to propose.
I bet they do a fake proposal.
Maybe. Ooh, we should poll the listeners on that one.
It's a big gotcha.
It's a big
moment.
Yeah. It'll be like a cliffhanger.
Who are you cheering for?
I'm cheering for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge Eagles fan.
Yeah.
So we'll go for Chiefs. It's
an East Coast team. We're Midwest people.
Yeah.
Same division as the Broncos for me, at least.
Yeah.
So I got to go there.
Yeah. For me, it's, all about the time we spend together. I usually cook a lot. I make a lot of appetizers, and I eat way too much. So I'm usually full before the game even starts.
Just another great holiday that you spend in the kitchen all day.
I know. But, as long as people enjoy what I'm making, then...
Oh, we do.
It's okay.
It's always just a win-win, kind of lose-lose. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, and we can end on, no, we can't, we don't have to end on this, but I called Lego for that missing bag, 27. I know everybody was waiting on this one too.
Oh, that was another cliffhanger.
I've been getting bags and bags of letters, handwritten letters asking about it.
Oh, bag 27.
And Lego was phenomenal. Whoever helped me, I don't remember her name, which I'm sure she gave it to me, but I spent 10 minutes on the phone with her, but she was phenomenal. Just filled it no matter what. It's free. It's coming in the mail. They said it's rare, but it does happen. Super nice.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so the Eiffel Tower will have progress again.
Will rise.
It will rise. Wow. It's like a phoenix.
No, I thought you were going to go with like Olympus.
Rising above the Serengeti.
Getty.
Oh, I missed it, man. That is my bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That will be, when this actually comes out, that'll be a reference to last Monday's morning cereal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. One of the greatest lyrics of all time.
Oh, it is. I mean,
yeah.
It's because Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus.
Yeah.
Above the Serengeti.
You can hear a clip of that if you go to Instagram's Morning Cereal Podcast.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear it. I really am. I as a child, I had that record. Toto
the actual
Africa.
record. Yeah, you've told me that.
Yep. And we used to listen to it. We would be playing in the basement.
You guys had a lot more records because your family was a musical family,
We
too.
were.
Like, you
we always
enjoyed
had
it.
music. Mhm.
I only had 2 records. We Are the World
Yeah, that's a good one.
was one, and I'm sure there was something on the back side of that I don't recall what it was.
We had Michael Jackson Thriller record.
Do you still have it? I mean, I'm sure that's worth so much money. An
I have to ask my
original.
parents.
Yeah.
I remember.
If there's anything we asked them for, I'd want that.
Yeah. That's because I know we had that one.
As everybody knows now, I'm the world's #1 Michael Jackson fan.
You are. And that one is still a show.
Primarily because he and I dance so similar.
Oh, you can do a mean moonwalk.
And I've taught it to as well. So I
Oh,
passed
yeah.
it on generationally.
Yes, he can do it very well. I, ironically, as the person who spent
The dancer.
15 years dancing, can't do the moonwalk to save my life.
Yeah, you're more of a choreographed dancer, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
That is my training. So, but yeah, I mean, all good music. So I am excited though to watch it because maybe during the Super Bowl you can continue to build it. Although our oldest said that he might invite some friends over, so I'm excited.
Okay.
I'd welcome his buddies over anytime.
Well, go Swifties. Hopefully it's a good show. Well, so you're officially cheering for the Chiefs then?
I'll officially cheer for the Chiefs, yeah.
And I figured that would be the case because, as usual, I mean, we're so close that, you cheer for the same team because you practically finished my...
Sandcastles.
You tried to hold it in. We cannot end with that every single time. With me just throwing out the lamest finish my, it's the lamest. It's so funny. Is it funny though? I don't know. All right. I think that's it. I mean, at least we get real laughter at the end of it. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.